It's kind of crazy here on September 11th giving a speech in a basement somewhere north of Denver right now. It's 10 years ago on this day I knew exactly where I was. I would never thought in a million years I'd be here giving the speech right now. But that's kind of what life gives you sometimes. You just kind of have to, when life gives you lemons, you have to roll with it and make lemonade out of it. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Mason Kewen. I'm a 4th grade teacher at Shell Rock Elementary. I have 2 master's degrees. My first one is in education with a specialization in science, and my second one that I just completed is in special education. And like Chris said, for my scholarly project, I did a case study of 5 children who all have a diagnosis, but we did have 4 of the 5 have a diagnosis of autism disorder. The 5th one displayed autistic-like symptoms, but all 5 of the children have a diagnosis of Lyme disease. So I'm going to go ahead and get started here. Go ahead, Lori. Put the slide. And I want to start out just talking a little bit about autism and exactly what autism is. Autism is a disorder that is diagnosed by a PhD who looks at 3 main characteristics. Those are communication issues, social interaction issues, and repetitive behaviors. And if you look at the definition of autism from the National Institute of Mental Health, they even recognize that it is a physical condition linked to abnormal biology and chemistry that affects the brain's normal development. And the thing about autism is there's no known cause, there's no cure, and as of right now, there's just kind of therapies that are good, but they're used to kind of alleviate symptoms. And as you can see here, there are good therapies out there, like applied behavior analysis and other behavior therapies, that they're excellent therapies and they definitely help. But again, all of the research is kind of looking more towards those that alleviate symptoms, and there's been some look into like the cause, but there has been no known cause so far. If we look back at autism over time, autism, the word autism was first published in 1944 by a gentleman named Leo Kanner. And over time, you know, back in the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, it was extremely rare. There was about 0.1 per 10,000 people, 0.1 per 1,000 people that were diagnosed with autism back in the 60s and the 70s. In 1980, that started to gain a lot, and now it's about 8 per 1,000, or even more. It's more about 1 every 100 kids are diagnosed with an autism spectrum disorder. And this is by no means a smoking gun at all, but 1980 is when the discovery of Lyme came along. And you know, and one thing I wanted to mention, I forgot to mention at the beginning, that I want to make sure it's very clear. I don't think that all kids with autism have Lyme disease. I definitely do not. And I don't think that all kids with Lyme disease have autism. But there is, in some of the research that I have found, is there is a significant amount of kids that have autism that do have Lyme disease. And it's something that hopefully we'll gather some more research in the future, and hopefully that more medical doctors will take a look at in the future. Now, this is from my research, and this is information that I took directly from the Centers of Disease Control, and I also took it from the IDA database. So, you know, this is legit information. This isn't something I just took from a website or just heard secondhand. These are directly from those websites. And what I have here is the bottom 25 states in America and their prevalence of autism. And I have them ranked from the least, for number 50, up to 25. And interestingly enough, Iowa actually has the lowest rate of autism in the country, which I thought was kind of interesting. But what we have here in these white bars, these are the number of cases of autism per 10,000. And then the black bars are the number of cases of Lyme disease per 100,000. And I had to make it 100,000 just so you could see it on this chart, or that Lyme disease wouldn't even show up. But you notice these bottom 25, there's very few, the ones that are kind of lower for prevalence of autism, there's very few that have a high number of cases of Lyme disease. And now this is the top 25 states for prevalence of autism. And you can see how many of them jump up for the number of cases of Lyme disease. And matter of fact, of the top 25 states for prevalence of autism, 15 of those states are listed as epidemic for cases of Lyme disease. And if you look here, there's a whole bunch of states from the upper Midwest and from the Northeast. You see Minnesota, Maine, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, Vermont, Delaware. So, I mean, it's not a perfect correlation, but you can see there's a connection there. All those states in the Northeast and upper Midwest, there is a lot of cases of autism, a lot of cases of Lyme disease. Okay, so then the next thing that, again, scientists have tried to look at for a long time is what's causing this, because again, there is still no known cause. For a while there was a